Jana has 19 years of experience in employee benefits and in retirement funds. Today I'll be speaking to Joe about the value chain in the context of retirement funds. Our conversation explicitly excludes state pension provisions. Jana, the concept of the value chain is most often used in the provision of an end product. Investopedia defines the value chain as a series of consecutive steps that go into the creation of a finished product, from its initial design to its arrival at the customer's door. So it sounds to me like we're speaking about an environment where there's a physical end product. What is the end product in retirement savings?
Well, thanks, Arabella. That's a good question. The whole point of the retirement fund industry and every single person in it is to provide retirement income for people who have retired, so once they stop working. So I think that the product is income security during retirement.
What do you mean when you refer to the retirement fund value chain?
Okay, so that relates to every player that's in this retirement fund industry, which aims to provide income security to individuals in retirement. So that goes from your employers to your funds, to your trustee boards, to all the service providers of the fund, and the insurers that ultimately provide the pensions.
So could you explain how you see the retirement value chain working?
Sure. So again, we would look at every single player in that chain. So from the employer's role is to set up the benefits for their employees and to pay over the contributions. In South Africa, the private retirement fund arrangements are run through pension funds, which are separate legal entities, which are run by a board of trustees. So there your trustees are quite important. They take all the decisions. They also employ the service providers. And the service providers include the administrators who collect the contributions and invest them, and then pay out benefits according to the fund rules. Then the other service providers are the asset consultants who guide the trustees and help them to decide where to invest the money, the asset managers who actually do invest the money, the insurers who provide risk benefits, the consultants who provide advice and assistance to the trustees around communication and other governance issues, the pension fund lawyers who advise on legal matters, and then ultimately the insurers or the funds who provide retirement savings. So each of those players plays a role in providing this ultimate income during retirement years. And if there's any break or any problem in any of those links, then it kind of jeopardizes the end product.
So this begs the question, where do the retirement fund members fit into the value chain?
Yeah, so the members aren't really in the value chain, they are the consumers of the value chain. They have to make a lot of decisions, which are quite big decisions. They require quite a lot of knowledge and foresight and maturity. They need to decide how much to contribute to retirement at the moment. They need to decide where to invest that money. They need to decide at retirement what kind of annuity to purchase. So they consume all the bits and pieces that the other service providers provide.
Jana, would it be fair to say that it is the members and their dependents who are the customers?
Yes.
Is that fair?
100%. They are the reason that we are here. If we didn't really, if it wasn't our purpose to provide them with a retirement income, then why would we be here?
So how can we do things better for them?
So that's a great question and gets me quite excited. We need to remember where we came from. Retirement savings have only existed for the last 150 years, when actually nobody lived. Very few people lived to after retirement, which was at that age 70 years. And that was mostly government provision. So it was government saying, you know what, you've served your country well, mostly in the military, and so now you can go off and we will give you something to live on. And then about 80 years ago, private companies took this on after the Great Depression, when they needed to create jobs for the younger workforce. So they, made retirement age 65, and at that time it became more defined benefit. So it was funds run by the employer who would promise you a pension once you retire that would be payable until your death. And then only about 20 to 30 years ago, we moved from that defined benefit environment where your pension was defined. Members, they just knew they were getting a pension. They didn't have to make any decisions. To this new defined contribution environment where basically only what you put in is defined. And then depending on your investment returns and the choices you make as the member, that determines the end result of the retirement pension that you get. And so it's very new that members have to make all these choices, and really you asked how we can do things better. I think we need to look at that value chain and look where it is working and where it is not working. And we know that it's not working because very few people retire comfortably. The stats are horrific. It's something like 6 to 8% of retirement fund members. And we also know why it's not working. The contributions aren't big enough, the investment choices are poor, and the retirement annuitization decision is not necessarily always in the best interest of the member. So let's look at every link. Let's look at every one of those links. Yeah. Starting from the employer, do they have the right benefit structure in place? Do they have the right assistance to make those kind of decisions? Do they have the right funds? Do they have the right support? Then to the trustee boards, do the trustee boards, do they have enough assistance and support again in making all the decisions that they need to make and ensuring that the governance of the funds runs well? I mean, as a seasoned pension funds lawyer and contract person, you can surely speak to whether contracts provided by the various service providers are tilted in favor of one party or another.
Jo, yeah, definitely. They are. I think it's fair to say that in the financial sector, a contract provided by a service provider is going to have terms that are favorable to the service provider. And that'll be what the fund signs unless a proper review is done on behalf of the fund.
So again, going to the support that the trustees would need to make sure that their contracts cover them for any of the service providers' failures. To the service provider members, are they assisted in making these complex choices? Do they have the appropriate, advice? Are the financial advisors giving them appropriate, advice that's actually appropriate for them? Or are there any other incentives? Is it cost effective? All the risk insurance arrangements, the funds that they choose, the administration, the asset managers, is daily unitization, for example, appropriate for a long-term savings vehicle? Or does it create unnecessary churn in investment or switching? I think we need to ask these questions very honestly and without judgment. The aim would not be to point fingers, it's just to go, okay, this link is broken, we can do it better here, let's fix it. And then move to the next one so that at every point it works. Right. Let's not keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. Let's do better.
Thank you, Jo, for your insight on this fundamental topic, and a reminder that the income security of the member and their dependents should be at the heart of the value chain of retirement funds.
Thank you, Arabella.